Hey everybody, Tony from GenRight Off-Road, and we are getting ready to put our brand new Stage 1 JKU Elite suspension in Sonic. Sonic already has a Metal Cloak 3.5 game changer suspension on it, which is about $5,300. Now, we're gonna keep the axles, the shocks, and the springs, but we're gonna go full long arm. And this will be double triangulated rear suspension, 3-link front suspension, brand new high steer, including reed knuckles, and moving the gas tank in the rear so that we can run a full flat belly skid plate. This is really going to elevate this vehicle's capability. Not only does it change the geometry to where you're going to get the best possible bind-free articulation, but we're lifting what sticks down in the middle 3 inches, giving it the same breakover angle as a Jeep with 40s. So this is really going to elevate its ability to get out there and wheel, and I can't wait to show you how this whole process goes. Now we're going to go ahead and tear this thing apart. So day one, get everything out, which took a bit because bolts were rounded off, things were smashed. It was a pretty good chunk of work because this had been a previous wheeler, so nothing was factory beautiful. If it was, it would have been a lot easier to get everything out. So now we're gonna start cutting all the brackets off, and that'll lay the groundwork for us to then put the brackets back in. The other night on Tech Talk, I was talking about how the Sawzall with this 9-inch blade in here is like one of my favorite tools because you can get in here and just slice off all the factory mounts. Now you want to do that carefully because you don't want to gouge the frame at all. You really want to creep up on this and leave all the material on the frame that you can. Now it's time to take out the last piece, which is the factory transmission cross member. It's important that you'll notice we're supporting the driveline with a stand here. And then I've already cut through this first side, and now I'm gonna switch sides, cut through the back side, and then repeat the process over on the other side, and this will come right out. Now we're just gonna do some cleanup grinding, make everything look nice, and then we'll go ahead and stick the new cross members in. All right, the reason you wanna paint these before you install them is it's really hard to get to all the surfaces. In fact, it's impossible to get to these surfaces that back up to the frame. So paint them completely, then come back and sand off or clean this off so that you can fully weld this bracket onto the frame. We've lined up the registration with these holes that are factory in the frame, placed the brackets, put the cross member in, bolted it all together. We've now made sure that it's level with the bottom of the frame on both sides, and now we're ready to tack this in place. We're all done welding on the frame. We've got all the brackets on there. Now it's time to move to the axles. So we're putting our rear truss on here. This is a standard product that we have for the Dana 60. We did modify it a little bit to fit this one, including the vent hole. And then we're gonna put the front track bar mount on the front axle. This required, of course, cutting off the unnecessary brackets, cleaning up the tubes, getting everything prepped and ready for welding. Welding is kind of like painting. All the work is in the prep. The actual welding of something on isn't that much work. It goes pretty quick. So we've got everything modified. Now, of course, we've got a Curry front axle and a Curry rear axle. So those were slightly different. The brackets are slightly different sizes and thicknesses. So we did have to modify our brackets just a little bit. I've told everybody everything is designed around the factory Dana 44 Rubicon axles. So if you have something different, then you're gonna need to tweak it a little bit and make sure it fits, which will require cycling it and making sure that everything clears, including the steering. This is the bridge that's designed for the factory Rubicon 44 rear axle, but because we upgraded to the Curry 60, we had to use another bridge that we make on this particular axle. We also got some R1 brakes for the rear. We already had the pads and rotors in the front, but now we got them for the rear. Since all the brackets are welded in, it's time to touch up the paint. So you want to get in there and get some good coverage on this so that you don't get any rust. Because the control arms come pre-welded, all you need to do is paint them. So we just thread in a little bit and then paint each link, and you can spin this whole thing to get all the sides. But this is the best, most efficient way to paint the links, including the track bar, the drag link, and the tie rod. We just set the links to the proper length, so the adjustable Johnny joints, locked everything down, started putting the links in. We've got a couple more uppers to go here, and then we're gonna wheel the axles under and we'll be able to start putting this thing back together. Let's do a quick explanation about why it's necessary to redo the exhaust. The factory gas tank sat right here on the passenger side, so the exhaust ran down this side. We're switching it, right? So we're gonna run the exhaust down the passenger side because we've moved the tank to the rear to allow for the control arms, everything that's involved with the double triangulated rear suspension. The next step in this Stage 1 JK Elite conversion is the access panel. So we're gonna cut a hole in the floor where there's a factory depression and insert this plate. What's cool about it is this has a 6-bolt access panel to the new fuel tank pump. So we're gonna retain the fuel pump from the factory tank. We're gonna retain all the factory evap stuff, including the fillers. But now this aluminum skid plate tank is going to go here in the back, and it's going to be seamless. It gives you all the room to do your double triangulated 4-link, and this is really a big component to making this entire kit work. All right, one of the sections that's a little bit tricky is cutting out this depression in the floor. In the instructions, we give you a detailed guide on how to measure this, find the center, and cut it out. For a couple of the straight sections, we used a cutoff wheel, but we recommend that you use a body saw or jigsaw. After we were done welding the new cross members in, painting everything, we reattached all the fuel lines and electrical that run to the back of the vehicle. Now it was time to replumb the fuel line, pressure line, and the return line. We were able to take off some of the pieces from the factory tank to reuse those. We bent some of the lines that were already here and rerouted those to the other side and all the way down the frame. Remember, the gas tank was here before. We've now moved that in the back so that we've got all the room we need for the double triangulated rear suspension. Then we mounted the evap canister and reconnect all the fittings, including there's an electrical line that used to plug into it, so we had to extend that to get it over on this side. All of these little things take a little bit of extra time. In our case, we had several wires that needed to be extended, one to the rear wheel sensor, so we just had to button all that stuff up and get it tucked up in a way, you know, zip tied down, so it's not loose. We made sure the new fuel lines weren't rubbing on sharp edges of the transfer case, and I didn't want to put the heat shielding on, but we're going to put some heat shielding here so when the exhaust runs down this side, because it was over here, we're moving it to the passenger side. When it runs down here, it's not going to overheat these fuel lines and cause us some kind of a vapor lock issue. All these little things take as much time as putting in the cross members. So you just need to pace yourself and ask yourself how important is all the detail. on your vehicle. We wanted it really nice and tidy, make sure nothing's rubbing, so that down the road we don't have any problems. So I suggest you do the same, and that'll keep your vehicle running solid and reliable for a long time. We've got the gas tank in, the exhaust is in, skid plate's back on, steering's all buttoned up. We had to bleed the brakes, we had to bleed the steering, really just, normal stuff for installing this level of equipment. Now it's time to take it out for a spin, bed the new brakes, double check everything, just make sure it's all good, and then I'm ready to take this thing out. So we're after noises, smells, fluids, right? Checking the steering, checking the brakes. Got brand new brakes, so we're gonna bed the brakes while we're out. And just keep our eye on the gauges, make sure everything's looking good. Just got it back, checked it out. Thing worked perfect. Everything's right in line, right where it needs to be. So we'll top off fluids, and this baby's ready to go to the Rubicon next. Lots of improvements, a lot more ground clearance, more gas capacity. It's all moved in the back. Remember, this is the kit, Stage 1 Elite is the kit that keeps your standard springs and shocks from whatever kit you had. And so really all we did was change the suspension geometry and fix the steering geometry. And it's amazing when you fix all that stuff, how much better it drives on and off road.